Okay, welcome back. I'm Matt Dukes. This is Higher Power Radio. It caught me for a second. Listen, I think that stuff was fascinating as we talked about, but I want to kind of bring it into modern day a little bit. And again, this is rudimentary research I'm doing. I don't want anybody to kind of try and get me off of the news broadcast somewhere, because I'm not that guy. I don't want to get. You can fact check me. That's okay. And if I'm wrong, I've been wrong a lot before. I'm not going to get hurt and sore over that. But I find it intriguing as we start to look at stuff from a bigger picture standpoint of how, and then I kind of boil it down a little bit to just my life. I get amazed that we take such liberties for granted sometimes. So I kind of referenced some of this stuff in the past before, and I'll do it again real quick. And these are just some rudimentary statistics that came out. I found this stuff on World Watch List 2019. For their prior reporting period. And I tried to reference that, and I can only assume it's for 2018 or a period of a measurable amount of time there before. And so this is basically, they just listed some basic persecution numbers of Christians or churches on a global basis. So I know I mentioned once before that where we have people that are killed, and it says, and this is every month on average. 345 Christians are killed for faith-related reasons. Every month, 345 people are killed, murdered, persecuted, martyred. And that could be anything from that list. And I'm sure they're not anywhere the degree of, but we have people that get stabbed. We have people that get beheaded. We have people that are shot today. We have people that are hung today. We have people that are, the dragging by horses. I don't know that I've heard any of crucifixions, but I just want to kind of let that sink in a second. 345 people a month are killed simply because they choose to say and stand up and get recognized as, listen, I believe that Jesus is the Christ, the Messiah, the Son of God, and lived on earth and rose from the dead and is coming back, and I am forgiven for the stuff that I've done because he paid that price and that penalty. And I don't want to get into a sermon here, but I think the fact that we forget that in a world today that's supposed to be enlightened or woke, which is the new term, 345 people a month are killed simply because they say that's their belief. There's 105 churches and Christian buildings that are burned or attacked every month on a global basis. 105 every month, just simply because there's somebody out there that says, I don't like what you think, I don't like what you believe, I don't like how you feel. 219 Christians are detained without trial. They're just simply arrested, sentenced, and imprisoned every month on a global basis, simply because they've decided to stand up for their faith, just like the list we wrote earlier, where they refuse to recant, they refuse to give in to the persecution. Because I can tell you, for me, and I've done this before in my life, and I can tell you, after I started on the walk that I'm on now, there's been plenty of times. Listen, I was sitting in a business meeting once in a conference room, and in the midst of an ethical debate with some of the presenters, had them actually look at me and said, oh, wait a minute, you're a Christian, aren't you? Oh, yeah, you effing Christian. And I was almost, I was kind of like shocked at it, but almost joyous, because as these guys talk about it, they go, oh my God, who am I that I get counted in that group? But it's fascinating that it would elicit that kind of response from somebody simply because they were struggling to contend with an assertion that said, hey, listen, I don't think that's right. We really need to be presenting the facts, the truth, honestly, ethically, versus getting caught up in that. So I just, and I'll go through some of this other stuff here real quick, but 245 million Christians experience high level of persecution in all of the countries of the world's watch list. And it says 1 in 9 Christians experience high levels of persecution. 1 in 9, 10% of the globe. 1 in 9 Christians get persecuted at a high level. Now, that's not simply that comment that I talked about sitting in a boardroom. That's simply not somebody going, oh God, you're a Bible thumper, aren't you? Oh my God, you go to church. Oh, you're probably one of those people. That's not that persecution. That is the baker that got sued for saying, hey, I don't want to bake a wedding cake for something that isn't according to my faith. That's somebody who's getting sued for service. That is the church that's being persecuted right now for its tax status as a historical figure, not being able to receive state funds for it. Now, listen, I am by no means here to defend and represent a church establishment from the standpoint of just a hierarchy. Because I can tell you what, it is sickening to see what's going on under the name of religion and all religions in this world, in this country, in this day and age. And so I really, I don't want to have that conversation today, but we will sometime. But it's oh man, I can tell you the punishments that I think of go on this list. But what I am talking about is those that simply want to practice their faith. And it's even in this country, I don't care what that faith is for you. I want you protected much as I want to be protected and being able to express and talk about whatever that is. So I don't care which one it is. I just want to make sure that we all have the privilege to be able to pursue it and talk to others as much as we care to about how it's affected our life. So they also come out with, and I find this interesting, they come out with a ranking of countries that are most dangerous across the globe for persecution, for religious Christian persecution. And it's ironic that for 18 consecutive years it's been the same country, and that's North Korea. And I can tell you how interesting it is with the political rhetoric that we have going on in this country right now, that you have that kind of egregious actions, and to be making the progress that we have made recently, this stuff going on, watching it play out. I'm going to be fascinated over the next 5, 10, 15 years to see how that all changes, because it'll change. Everything changes. It's inevitable. So, and I'm going to make the last point that's on this sheet that I did this research stuff, and it says 8 out of the top 10 countries that fuel Christian persecution are Islamic. Now, I am by no means attacking anybody else's faith or belief. I am by no means saying that there has not been wars in the name of Christianity, that there have been crimes against humanity, that there have been all of the stuff that has happened. But I can tell you today, the pendulum has swung the other way, and it just simply needs to be brought up as a topic that 8 of the top 10 countries that persecute Christians in the world today are Islamic. And so that's not a condemnation of anybody's faith, but that is certainly of the structure and hierarchy that's out there in the rest of this world today. So I just, those are all things that we came across that are on a monthly basis. And so some of the other data that I found in here that may be or may not be pertinent, it says in this last reporting period, and again, I think that's over the last prior 12 months in 2018, 1,266 churches or Christian buildings were attacked. 1,266. And that's not talking about whether it was a synagogue for the Jewish persuasion. That's not talking about if it was a mosque for Muslim, if it was Hindu or anything else. These are just Christian situations. It says 4,136 Christians were killed for faith-related reasons, which again, as I mentioned earlier, is on average 11 a day simply for their faith. So the rise in the number of Christians in the top 50 countries in the world watch list who experience high level of persecution is up 14%. So it's going to get worse. And I just bring that up because, you know, those of us that are looking for this euphoric society, whether you believe that's in socialism or democracy or republic or however that looks for you, it is getting worse out there in regards to the simple persecution. So don't be naive to think that we're ever going to elect somebody to office or that we're going to change our social structure enough that we all can join arms and live in peace and harmony. And the old adage of, somebody asking for world peace is, listen, man, that's not realistic. And that doesn't mean that we don't hope for that, we don't strive for that, and we don't try to achieve that. But I can tell you, based upon the statistics that I just read, based upon the history that we know repeats itself, based upon the political rhetoric we have in this country, my goodness, just watch the news and you can't get past it. I mean, it's almost to the point that I don't anymore. Well, I don't watch televised news because I just try and get it all online and I'll stream something. But it's amazing to me the level that people have sunk to in talking about or to someone else that they simply disagree with. And that's just from a standpoint of whether I believe that you have an intellectual prowess about what your beliefs are, or we're not even talking about the faith piece to it. Because I can tell you what, it's globally getting worse. In the society we're at, it's getting worse. I saw a piece a few weeks back where it talks about how in Congress, when they put somebody under oath now, that they have removed the phrase, so help me God. I watched them swear somebody in, and it was a congressional hearing. I watched them swear somebody in, and one of the other senators said, hey, by the way, you forgot to say, so help me God. And they said, yeah, no, we're removing that. And so I just want to make sure that we're all aware that it's not getting better. It's going to get worse. So listen, I'm going to take a break. We're going to be right back. My name is Matt Dukes. This is Higher Powered Radio, and I'll be right back.
When you need